Look, I don't think there's anything that you can do differently as a coach. I think fielding is like most other things in the game. It's all about confidence. The more you talk about it, the more you focus on it, probably sometimes the harder it becomes. So, look, we're going to highlight some of our great fielding performances and focus on those and try and take the positives out of those performances and try not focus too much on the mistakes you're making. It's the more you focus on those mistakes, the harder it is to overcome them. So we've got to look at the good stuff we've done in the field. We've taken some great catches, had some good runouts, and we've got to focus on that and try and make sure we try and do that on a more consistent basis.
So you think that it's more of psychological thing than the technical?
Look, end of the day, some teams have got some great fielders. Some teams have got some average fielders. It's about getting the right guys in the right positions a lot of the times. Like I say, confidence is a big thing in a fielding unit like it is with batting and bowling. But yep, we've got to make sure that we get ourselves mentally in a good space to go into the series and back ourselves and believe that we are a good fielding side and that we can field really well under pressure. Look, there's no doubt that we've got an experienced core of players in Mushfiq, Riyad, Tamim and Shakib, but always important to try and find one or two younger players and give them an opportunity. So hopefully a guy like Afif can come into the series this time and try and make an impact. I think whilst you've got all those senior players, it's also important to try and develop some young players because those players are not going to be around forever. There's always going to be injuries, retirements, loss of forms with certain players. So you've got to make sure that you've got a broad base of players. So if we can try and get one or two young players to perform consistently, I think that's an important thing for this team.
Coach, the thing is there any specific areas like the Sri Lankan guy said that they want to play fearless cricket, and what about how things hasn't gone well in the recent few matches? As a team, in any specific area you want to improve on?
We as a team, we need to make sure we do the basics well. We haven't done the basics well in one-day cricket over the last couple of games. In saying that, it's 3 ODIs ago that we played really well against the West Indies. So look, we're back at home. I think if we can focus really hard on the basics, I think when teams' confidence levels are down, there's no need to try and get fancy or try complicated things. It's to really just make sure you do the basics well in this format. If we can do that, we will get ourselves in a position where we can try one or two things. But we've got to first lay the platforms, do the basics well with bat and with ball, before we can consider getting too clever or too funky in terms of game plans and strategy. No, not at all. The guys have prepared really well these last couple of days. Look, obviously it's not ideal not having the entire coaching staff here, but the domestic coaches, Bubble and Tala, have been of great help. So great that they can be around the team as well. So there's that benefit to it. But look, the guys are all professional. They've played international cricket for a long time. They know what they need to do in terms of their preparation. In terms of decision making, by no means. Ultimately, the captain on the field of play makes all those decisions, and in consultation with the head coach, a lot of those decisions get made. So no, it won't affect us too much. Well, I think we're trying to find somebody that can maybe slot into that number 7 role, a batter who can offer some spin bowling options, and there's obviously a couple of options available. There's Afif, there's Mossadegh. We've floated with the idea of Shomo being down there. Shomo can cover for the top order as well. So Mossadegh's coming into that particular space where he's competing for a spot in the lower middle order. Someone that can finish games, good fielder, good package, can bat, can bowl. So we look at him in that particular role.
Russell, in the squad there are 3-4 all-rounders, especially in all-rounder. Do you have any plan to carry them in the World Cup?
Can you repeat that question, please, again?
In the squad, 15-member squad, there are 3-4 all-rounders. Have you any plan to carry them long-term or in the World Cup?
Well, I think that's the important thing is to, with the World Cup still 2 years away, is to try and make sure that, like I said previously, when you get to 6 months or 8 months before the World Cup, you know exactly what your batting lineup is going to be, who's batting in what position. And whilst winning is very important in these series, with points up for grabs, it also allows you an opportunity to try and finalize what you think your batting lineup will be in 2 years' time when the World Cup is around. So, look, we've got to be smart in that. Obviously, we want to be playing what we think is our best team all the time, but you also need to find opportunities to give one or two fringe players an opportunity to see how they go, if they can fit into the plan. So, with COVID situations around, the plus side that it allows you a big squad to travel with, where you can look at guys in training, in warm-up games, in match situations as well. So, we've got an intention of carrying a few all-rounders with us so that we can make sure that we've got the right guys on the bus when we do get to a World Cup.
Hasinur?
Coach, hello, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
My question is, I am good. My question is, for a long time we are finding a pace bowling all-rounder. So we have only option is Mohammad Saifuddin. But if we see the previous report that he is not playing regularly, actually what is your plan regarding Saifuddin and finding a pace bowling all-rounder for the future?
Well, I think Saifuddin has had a couple of niggles which has set him back a little bit. Obviously, he's a little bit down on confidence, but he's been an important player for this team. I think that's why a guy like Shohidul's come into the squad as well as a backup player, to provide a little bit of competition, challenge Saifuddin a little bit, make sure that he pushes himself hard as well. I think always good to have competition for places. So you're right, we are still looking for maybe a genuine all-rounder. Saifuddin is still very much a bowler who can hit the ball at the back end. Not quite good enough to bat in the top 6 yet. So whilst we're still looking for that, he has done really well for Bangladesh in the past, particularly in Bangladesh. So we're pretty confident that he can regain some of that form. And look, all players go through dips in confidence, in performance, in form. But it's a good challenge for him to see how he gets through this, because that's the test of international cricket. It's not always just going to go your way, and you need to find a way when things are not going in your favor to put in some big performances as well.
My question is, actually we all talk about the future of Bangladesh cricket, how you're preparing your team for 2020 World Cup. But at the same time, everyone wants results on the ground. Okay? Such as if you lose tomorrow, the whole hell will break on your end. So is it a dilemma for the selection, or your thought for the future?
Yeah, it is tricky. Look, ultimately, winning right now is always important, but you've also got to have one eye on the future. And sometimes we need to be a little bit more aware of that and not always just focus on the immediate, or sometimes we focus too much on the past. We've got to look forward as well. This is an important series, we know that, and points are up for grabs. So yeah, it's a balancing act, because performances now are very important, but also the development of the team going forward is equally as important, because who knows, maybe in 2 years' time you don't have Shakib or Tamim or Riyad or Mushfiq available, and you've got to make sure that you've developed some other players who can step into those type of players' boots. So yep, we've got to be careful about how we manage that process.
Ekush, your question?
Also some team they can play spin as well.
Now we're hoping for a good wicket. I think all one-day wickets should generally be good wickets, where I suppose it's a little bit more in favour of the batsman, I suppose. So I'm expecting a good wicket. It's been hot over the last couple of days, so that obviously will impact the nature of the wicket, but we're hoping for a good wicket over the next couple of games.
Generally, this type of weather and the wicket should help the spinners. What's your expectation, especially for the spinners, from spinners, and among the Shakib Al Hasan back, it should be the more booster for him?
Absolutely. It's great to have him back. We haven't had much of him for the last year or so. So, like I've always said, he's a very difficult player to replace. So, great to have his experience around the team back. It also lifts the team's morale a bit, having a player with his ability in your playing rank. So I'm really excited to see him play over the next week. Other spinners, Miraj is currently ranked very high in the bowling ranks in the world. He's been a standout performer for us in white ball cricket. Obviously, Riyad's back bowling again, so that's also a big plus. There's young Mahedi, who did really well for us in New Zealand, so he's also very much in the frame. So those are exciting young players for us to look at over the series.
Yeah, hi. Coach, would you please make a comparison of Bangladeshi batting order and Sri Lanka batting order?
Look, obviously Sri Lanka have left out one or two big players. There's no Chandimal, there's no Angelo Matthews, which I suppose in terms of games and experience leaves them a bit light. I think we probably have got a more experienced batting lineup than they do. We know that they've got some high quality players in Kusal Pereira, Kusal Mendes. So look, I think pretty evenly matched. They'll be coming here trying to play an aggressive brand with a young team. Bangladesh playing at home will always be a little bit under pressure because there's always an additional bit of pressure playing back at home. But our guys are looking pretty good at the moment. Top order all got some good batting time and good preparation this week. Are playing really nicely at the moment. So, yep, I'm really looking forward to seeing how the two batting lineups match up against each other over the next couple of days.
It's been seen that for last 6 ODIs, Legendas is not really performed up to the mark. All 6 matches against West Indies and back in New Zealand, all 3 ODIs. So, do you feel, is there any chance you can shape back Soumya Sarkar with Domingo at the opening slot, or still you feel Soumya is in the team for the number 7 slot, and as you have been saying earlier, as a finisher? What do you feel? Soumya have the chance to replace Legion in the top of the order?
Look, in the day, I think Soumya is good enough to do both roles. He can, and we've spoken to him a bit, he can be an option lower down, but he's also an option at the top of the order. You've got to remember he batted at number 3 in New Zealand in the one-day series. I've got a lot of faith in Litton. All players have periods where they're searching for a little bit of form. I think he's a quality player. Just every now and then you need a little bit of luck in this game, and sometimes it hasn't been going for him. But he seems to be batting really well at the moment. He's in a good space. I don't think there's a question mark with his ability. All players have periods where they go through 5 or 6 games where they don't get runs, and I think the challenge is to make sure you keep supporting and backing those players, because a quality player like him, you know there's a big score just around the corner.
Under pressure when they play at home, obviously there is also pressure when they go abroad to adapt the condition of the alien pitches and condition. Do you think the players need to play and gain that confidence to play their free-flowing natural game rather than going under pressure is always difficult for players to perform? And another question is, as a coach, will you be under also some sort of pressure as for Bangladesh with the recent match?
Coach, number one, coach always under pressure. I think the important thing for coach is to make sure that you stick to your principles and you stick to your beliefs and you try and do the right thing. And that's what I'm trying to do to the best of my ability. Regarding players just going out and playing international cricket, there's always pressure. No matter where you're playing, no matter who you're playing against, there's always media scrutiny, there's always personal pressure, there's always pressure from family, from friends, from peers. So it's always easy to say, just go out there and play. Unfortunately, it's not schoolboy cricket, because if you just go out there and play and you make a few mistakes, people are going to say, oh, you're not showing enough respect or not professional enough. So there comes a responsibility with representing your country. Players are aware that. They take it very seriously when they represent their country, as they should. So there's always, like I say, there's always pressure to play. As coaches, you try and take that pressure away from the players, prepare them well, make sure their minds are clear, support them, back them when they need to be supported and backed. And hopefully in that way, you ease a little bit of the pressure for them to perform. But, like I say, as professionals at international level, there's always personal pressure to perform, and players just have to deal with it.
Coach, it's almost 10 matches across 3 formats in international cricket that Bangladesh failed to get a win. How big you and your team team actually to get into the winning race in the upcoming series?
No, obviously, we've gone through a lean period of results. There's no doubt about it. But we've got to learn from the mistakes we've made in the last couple of months, and we've got to move on. There's no point focusing on the past. We've got to look forward, and what's important for us now is our mindset going into tomorrow's game. If we play to our potential, if we do our basics well, if we stick to the strategy that we're trying to employ, we give ourselves a chance of winning. There's no guarantee, but we give ourselves a chance of winning if we do those things. And those are the things that we can control. So we can't always control the result, but we can control the way we prepare. We can control our mindset. We can control our thinking when you're at the field. So those are the things we need to focus on. What's happened in the past, you've got to learn from it and move on and focus on what's in front of us now.
Coach, our home ODI series winning record is very rich. Do you believe we will be the favorite in this series? And I have another question. I am listening that in your press conference that Soumya could be in the batting order. So it will be Soumya or Mithun?
Number one, regarding favourites, I think these are two very evenly matched sides. I suppose with Bangladesh playing at home and home ground advantage being quite a big factor in international cricket, I suppose we will start as favourites, and that's a good thing for us. However, we cannot underestimate Sri Lanka, proud cricketing nation, some seriously good players, and they will be keen to prove a point. Regarding Soumya, I will sit with the selectors today, and I will finalise the team once I've spoken to selectors today. No final 11 has been decided upon. Like I said earlier, he is an option to either bat up the order or to bat in the middle of the innings, but there's been no official finalisation of the squad for tomorrow's game as yet.
Any chance to select these teamers in the next 11?
Is there any chance to select?
Yeah, 3 teamers for the game.
3 seamers for the game is definitely an option. Like I say, with Shaki back, Riyad being able to bowl, it provides us with some good spinning options. Miraj is there as well, so it's definitely one of the options to consider going into tomorrow's game.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Cheers. Thank you.